there are a number of different things that can be said in regards to the best explanation. If we recall from our discussion of the judging the best explanation, we need to have an explanation that's simple and yet conservative. So the question is God's existence, is God's causing the experience, in fact, the best explanation for the experience occurring? And there are a number of people who will say no, because that makes a fair number of assumptions. The objection is that, in fact, the most probable explanation for the religious experience is a natural one. There are a number of naturally occurring events that can result in someone having an experience that we might call religious. For example, when one takes hallucinogenic drugs, one hallucinates. When one has a brain tumor, one might tend to think there are things there that aren't. The idea here is that people will claim that those individuals that report religious experiences are probably suffering under the influence of some substance or condition that could explain the experience more easily than that God exists. If you're familiar at all with Native American rituals, the Native American people would go on vision quests, and it would often involve fasting, sweat lodges. I mean, they weren't lodges, and maybe even partaking of peyote. When we have this situation where you haven't eaten, you've been in the sweat tent like environment so that you're dehydrated, and then you add to that a chemical substance that can cause you to hallucinate, it's easy to see how that could result in this quote unquote religious experience and not actually be caused by God. So the claim is that there are natural explanations for these experiences. You're under particular conditions, dehydrated or fasting. You've ingested some sort of substance, or perhaps you need an MRI because you have a brain tumor. So natural explanations are far more likely for these experiences than the existence of God. As a result, premise number 2 fails, and the argument would fail. Does that make sense? Well, the response is that provided there's no good reason to doubt it, the experience should be believed. The idea behind this is that when I see something, like literally see a physical object in front of me, I tend to trust that, unless I know I'm in conditions where I should not trust that. If I know I accidentally put an hallucinogen in my coffee this morning instead of sugar, then when I see something strange, there's good reason to doubt that it exists. If I know that I've been fasting for 2 days and I'm dehydrated, and that could result in something I think I see, not really being there, then I have good reason to doubt my experience. But our theist will say, if you take away all of those reasons, and we no longer have good reason to doubt the experience, we should trust it. This is called the principle of credulity. The principle of credulity says, all things being equal, if something seems like it's present, then it probably is. The principle of credulity is most commonly used in regards to sensory perception. If I know that I'm in regular conditions for seeing something, if I see it as red, I should trust that it's red. However, if I know that I'm in a room that has red light instead of white light, then when I see something as red, I should not trust that it is red. The principle of credulity says if I know that there isn't good reason to doubt something, then I shouldn't doubt it. So if I know that I don't have a brain tumor and I haven't had an hallucinogen and I have eaten and had sufficient hydration, in the past 24 hours, then there is no good reason to doubt my experience. So when I have a religious experience and I'm lacking all of these quote unquote natural explanations, then I have no good reason to doubt my experience, and thus the experience should be believed. Does that make sense?